whoever you are, wherever you are, I hope you are blessed and doing safe. Ladies and gentlemen, greetings, family. Of course, I'm tuning in. You see me without the glasses off today. But if you're looking for some opportunities, particular advertisement opportunities, then look no further at the link at the bottom to my email address. You can hit me up for advertisement opportunities. We are supporting and promoting your businesses here on this channel. You can also, if you would like to donate and subscribe to our Patreon, a link is at the bottom as well. So you have multiple ways in which you can advertise with the platform by emailing me when we go on do our live stream. You also have access to premium content, those that want to see premium content that you will not find here on YouTube or Facebook or Twitter, as I am suspended probably by now. You guys can check out the Patreon at link at the bottom. But advertisement opportunities, definitely email me, gavin.grich1@gmail.com for rates. And for the Patreon, it is the same as the YouTube channel. It is channel gboot2786. All right, I'll holla. Peace. I don't do it. No.
Good evening. Today, an indictment was unsealed, charging Donald J. Trump with conspiring to defraud the United States, conspiring to disenfranchise voters, and conspiring and attempting to obstruct an official proceeding. The indictment was issued by a grand jury of citizens here in the District of Columbia, and it sets forth the crimes charged in detail. I encourage everyone to read it in full. The attack on our nation's capital on January 6th, 2021 was an unprecedented assault on the seat of American democracy. As described in the indictment, it was fueled by lies. Lies by the defendant targeted at obstructing a bedrock function of the U.S. government, the nation's process of collecting, counting, and certifying the results of the presidential election. The men and women of law enforcement who defended the U.S. Capitol on January 6th are heroes. They are patriots and they are the very best of us. They did not just defend a building or the people sheltering in it. They put their lives on the line to defend who we are as a country and as a people. They defended the very institutions and principles that define the United States. Since the attack on our Capitol, the Department of Justice has remained committed to ensuring accountability for those criminally responsible for what happened that day. This case is brought consistent with that commitment, and our investigation of other individuals continues. In this case, my office will seek a speedy trial so that our evidence can be tested in court and judged by a jury of citizens. In the meantime, I must emphasize that the indictment is only an allegation and that the defendant must be presumed innocent until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt in a court of law. I would like to thank the members of the Federal Bureau of Investigation who are working on this investigation with my office, as well as the many career prosecutors and law enforcement agents from around the country who have worked on previous January 6th investigations. These women and men are public servants of the very highest order, and it is a privilege to work alongside them. Thank you.
Why didn't you charge any of the other co-conspirators in this matter? You already received that the election?
Are you planning to bring any other charges against more individuals?
All right, so if y'all are just joining me, welcome, everybody. That is the news for today. Welcome to another exciting edition of Random Topic Tuesdays. Only one topic we're talking about tonight: Donald Trump, President Donald Trump, former President Donald Trump, be indicted on 4 counts of conspiracies. Conspiracies, as you heard from the special counsels Jack Smith of conspiracy to overturn the presidential election. So 1, to defraud the United States, a 2nd, to obstruct an official government proceeding, and a 3rd, to deprive people of civil rights provided by federal law or the Constitution. The 4th charge that Trump is facing is obstruction, is a 4th count of an obstruction of an official proceeding. As you heard what the indictment says each of these conspiracies, which built, I'm just quoting, on the widespread mistrust the defendant was creating through pervasive and destabilizing lies about election fraud, targeted a bedrock function of the United States federal government, the nation's process of collecting, counting, and certifying the results of the presidential election, the indictment said. Now, one of the things in this indictment I noticed too was they named several co-conspirators, but they didn't name them by name. They just mentioned, for instance, the behavior of co-conspirator 1, they say appears to be Rudy Giuliani, the former mayor of New York and Trump's personal lawyer, who Trump put in charge of efforts to deny the transfer of power after Mr. Trump's main campaign lawyers made it clear it was over. The charges signify an extraordinary moment in United States history. A former president in the midst of a campaign to return to the White House being charged over attempts to use the levers of government power to subvert democracy and remain in office against the will of voters. The indictment came more than 2.5 years after a pro-Trump mob, egged on by incendiary speeches by Mr. Trump and his allies, stormed the Capitol on January 6, 2021, in the worst attack on the seat of Congress since the War of 1812. So this came from a federal grand jury indictment, and a little more than 8 months after Merrick Garland, who was the AG, appointed a special prosecutor, who was Jack Smith, a career federal prosecutor, to oversee both the election tampering and classified documents inquiries into Mr. Trump. So you have this, ladies and gentlemen, that's going on, this indictment of Donald Trump. Welcome, everyone. I know I haven't come on, I'm not on screen. I don't look that proper. It's not the first time you have, but I just thought it'd probably be better if I just talk through here. But before we do that, I want everybody, number one, I want you to, if you can, those that are here, if you're here, hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Hit the notification bell. By the way, everything you've heard in here has been fair use. It is fair use. All the news articles and context is a copyright disclaimer. that we have everywhere in the banners. The news article you heard is subject to under the section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976, which is an allowance that's made for fair use for criticism, comment, news reporting, scholarship, and researches, which is what we are doing tonight. And I'm not on Facebook tonight. I'm on Periscope. I'm on YouTube channel gboot2786 and Gavin Richard. Whoever you are, wherever you are, I hope you are doing blessed and doing safe right now. Doing blessed and being safe. Those are all great things. So I got a poll going on right now. I asked everybody, do you think that these charges, this is my opinion, and I want to ask y'all, do y'all think that these charges are trumped up? In other words, do you think that this is an attempt to keep Donald Trump from running in 2024? Now, mind you, even with these indictments, and he has another criminal matter based off his income taxes up in New York. I believe more indictments they're even talking about coming. There even talk of stuff going on in Georgia, some indictment stuff I saw. There's also this thing, if you looked at the latest polls in the New York Times, Trump is actually, they even say Trump and Biden are in a dead heat right now. According to recent polls, they're in a dead heat. This is coming from Politico. They're basically tied in a rematch. Now, what you have going on, I think everybody knows. Let me exit out first off of this New York Times article. I put that New York Times article in the description so everybody can go there and read and see for themselves what they're talking about. And I just want to say with the New York Times, with news media in general, it always seems like they're reading from a leftist point of view, that perspective. The New York Times, when Jim Brown died, let's not forget they put out an obituary with him, but then had that subheading underneath about his domestic violence history. So they always find a way to do a little backhanded comment with black men. But the point being is, and why I mention that is, news media is supposed to be independent. It's supposed to be free of corporate interest. And unfortunately, that is the opposite of what we have today. When we look at unfortunately, through the 1996 Telecommunications Act that Bill Clinton signed into law, that allowed a monopoly to take place of certain corporations, of groups. So, for instance, now, as I always point out, NBC is owned by Comcast, but did you know at one time there was a possibility that both CBS and NBC were going to be owned by the same company? How many of y'all knew that? My point is they were actually talking about it. Paramount was actually talking about buying NBC. Viacom, CBS. So those things are real. By the way, speaking of Viacom, CBS, Tyler Perry doesn't own BET just yet. A lot of people think he is. I've heard that deal, from what I've seen, is falling through by like a billion short than what Tyler Perry put in for a bid. I just want to throw that out. But a lot of you think that Donald Trump is going to be, this is an attempt to keep him out of office. I got 5 different photos. I'm going to do this. I want to share. And everybody, this is why I tell y'all to hit the like, share, and subscribe button. We need to keep these numbers going. I'm going to actually put this on Twitter right now. So we're going to tag some people to come on in. Shout out to all of my family that are watching on YouTube. I know that's practically everybody, the whole audience that's here. We're going to get some people in, ladies and gentlemen. What's going on? I'm going to mention that in a second. Excuse me. I'm just letting people know we're in here, man. YouTube, I've always said this, they have been screwing with our numbers. They have been screwing with our numbers. I've had 12, I've had some people that are subscribed to our channel say they don't get notifications. I've had and noticed that I had at least 10 subscribers drop overnight, sometimes 100, just depending. I should actually have more people, but we're not going to let this stop us. We keep moving forward. I have another channel as well on Rumble. I'm going to do a video on that, on something else. There was another issue I wanted to talk about. Unfortunately, this took precedent because I wanted to get everybody's opinion about it and see what you thought. Come on, smash up the likes. Yeah, a lot of people, I noticed my sister, my sister Nicole, she's not on YouTube that much anymore. She's not doing it, I think, because of this. And I know she's been focusing on her health, doing that Zumba stuff. I'll be seeing you on Facebook, babe. Congrats. But yeah, it's really screwed up with a lot of people, what they're doing. So the question for everybody, as I have here, excuse me, I'm just still trying to get more people in here. So what do y'all think? I want you to put it in the comment section. Do y'all think that this is a conspiracy to keep Trump from running? Now, bear in mind, I was going to point this out. Being arrested, being arraigned, does not keep him from running for office. There is no law that states that a president can't run for office if he's been convicted of a crime. You don't have to have a clean record. If you have been Now, if he is convicted of a crime, let's say such as high treason or some sorts, I think that is practically the only exception, because then when you betray your country, there's a trust issue. You can't be in there. And obviously, if you're convicted, you're going to be doing time for that, or if not death. But that's not the indictment here. So as an attorney, I just was looking at it. I didn't see. What's up, Danielle? I didn't see anything. I can't even read. Fortunately, they didn't post the indictment. I'm trying to see if I can find the indictment of Trump online. So CBS News has it. I'm gonna put the article for that so everybody can read it. But the indictment is 45 pages. So he's got four, like I read the counts: conspiracy to defraud the United States, conspiracy to obstruct an official proceeding, obstruction of an attempt to obstruct an official proceeding, and conspiracy against rights. All of these, ladies and gentlemen, what do they all have in common? They're called conspiracies. And when you have to have a conspiracy, in order to prove a conspiracy, at least I know from the definition we have in our criminal code here. Now, it may be different from the federal side of it, but essentially it boils down to the same thing: is when you have an agreement between two or more parties for the combination of committing a criminal act and do an act in furtherance of it, So, for instance, 2 men or 3 men or 4 people, 3 men and 1 woman or 4 women, whatever, depending on what movie you like, if they agree to do an act in furtherance of a crime, so there's a combination for the specific purpose of committing any crime, and if that agreement or combination to commit a crime shall not amount to a criminal conspiracy unless, in addition to such agreement or combination, one or more did an act of furtherance of the object of the agreement or combination. So if you talk, just for instance, if someone wanted to assassinate, just using a metaphor, this is not real, but when we talk about the assassination of John F. Kennedy, for instance, anybody associated with that assassination, if they meant to plant evidence against Lee Harvey Oswald, even if they didn't pull the trigger, if they had to plant evidence on it, they obviously had to have known about it from the beginning to do that. So they did, and it wasn't just the person obviously who pulled the trigger, but the other people who covered it up. So the people who covered it up 9 times out of 10, or I should say 10 times out of 10, acted as criminal conspirators and were accessories before the fact, or as what we call principals in Louisiana. I've told y'all about that. Principals and accessories after the fact. That means you didn't commit the crime, that particular crime, afterwards, but when you found out about it, you did things to help. You did something to help that that person to get away with it. You did an act in furtherance. So if I was an accessory after the fact, let's say someone assassin ran up to you and said, "I just shot the president, hide me," and you do that. You didn't know he would kill the president until afterwards, and he told you. Well, if you hit him and you knew there was a warrant out for him, you obviously knew there was a crime because he confessed it to you, you could likely be convicted of that. That's different than obviously being a principal, which means you were there from the beginning. You planned it. You knew where to map out everything. But that's what Donald Trump is charged with, a conspiracy to commit crimes. Now, I think there's going to be a tough challenge, though. There's got to be a tough challenge from a legal perspective, again, for the prosecutor to prove this beyond a reasonable doubt, because just saying something in and of itself, and I talked and asked if you can look for this, if I look for these votes and see, that in and of itself is not, to me, doesn't arise to a conspiracy. But what would be conspiratory is, did he in any way, shape, or form pay people off to disrupt, allegedly to disrupt the proceedings? Did he do something, an act of that? They said that the defendant spread lies that there had been outcome determinative fraud in the election and that he had actually won. Now, while those claims may be false in and of itself, those words, does that arise to a conspiracy? No, I don't think so. Now, they even say he has a right to speak, and even claimed falsely that there had been an outcome determinative fraud during the election. And he's entitled, obviously, to formally challenge the election results. And they're saying that these challenges were unsuccessful, which they were. But what they're saying is he went through unlawful means of discounting legitimate votes and subverting the election results. But as they list the definitions of these, you see here: conspiracy to defraud the United States, conspiracy to corruptly obstruct and impede the January 6th congressional proceeding, a conspiracy against the right to vote and to have one's vote counted. They all say they were built on widespread mistrust the defendant was creating through pervasive and destabilizing lies about election fraud, targeting a bedrock function of the United States federal government, which is the nation's process of collecting, counting, and certifying the results of the presidential election. I'm gonna put the actual link to this, but they list, like I said, several co-conspirators, at least 6. Rudy Giuliani is obviously one of them, and another attorney, probably his. I can't think of 3 of these. At least 4 of these are attorneys. One works in the Justice Department, and the other is a consultant. Could be his son. I don't know. Now, here they say the manner and means. The defendant's conspiracy to impair, obstruct, and defeat the federal government function through dishonesty, fraud, and deceit included the following manner and means. So they list this. They say he used knowingly false claims of election fraud to get state legislators and election officials to subvert the legitimate election results and change electoral votes for the defendant's opponent, Joe Biden, to electoral votes for the defendant. That is, on the pretext of baseless fraud claims, the defendant pushed officials in certain states to ignore the popular vote, disenfranchise millions of voters, dismiss legitimate electors, and ultimately cause the ascertainment of and voting by illegitimate electors in favor of the defendant. Now, let me stop right there. Now, this is me talking. You guys are still looking at this pic, but I'm sorry. Let me pull this up. Now, here's a problem I have reading that. This sounds eerily from they're mentioning this stuff. Now, this is a prosecutor bringing charges against a former president. Let's rewind 23 years ago when George W. Bush ran against Al Gore in the 2000 presidential election. And in the state of Florida, everybody knows, because it was confirmed, Al Gore won the popular vote. And he won the national popular vote, and he won the vote in Florida. And the news media even confirmed that had all the votes been counted, that Al Gore would have won, would have been certified as president. In fact, he was certified as the president until the next day, when they later that evening, when they wanted to call it for George Bush. And we learned that the Secretary of State of Florida, who had authority over the votes, over the vote, certified him for George Bush, and she was his manager, which was a conflict of interest. Now, I bring all this up to say they let the Supreme Court, by a 5-4 decision, because it went all the way up to the courts, they said it was unconstitutional for the state of Florida to keep because it went on for weeks to see who won. It was unconstitutional for the state of Florida to award the election like they did, for the lower courts to award it like they did. And as such, they had to stop the counting of the votes. And George Bush got the state of Florida and was thus appointed president, and history changed. Because under his watch, we talk about bad presidents. He was one of the worst. Unjust wars, Hurricane Katrina, that debacle. Getting the United States trillions of dollars in debt. His faith-based initiative programs. He was one of the worst. I bring this up to say, where was this effort 23 years ago when I was 14? Why now? They say basically essentially what they're saying is Trump abused his power and conspired with others to force several states to overturn the election process. One thing I haven't seen, when they say he filed lawsuits, I haven't seen exactly, and I got to read it more, in fairness, how exactly did he commit the fraud? What exactly? I mean, yeah, saying something falsely is wrong, but if I file a lawsuit in and of itself, how does that mean that I'm conspiring to overturn? How does that? Because filing a lawsuit is not against the law. People file lawsuits all the time, and whether it's true or false is determined by the trier of fact. asking someone to do such a thing? Am I asking you to stop doing this? I ask you to stop doing that. Could that be? I don't know. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, we got Cheryl the Pearl. What's going on, babe? Welcome, welcome, welcome here. Also, I need you all to please drop something off in the Cash App, PayPal, or Zelle if you don't mind, just to support the channel, support me. As you know, as I stated before, we're on a shadow ban, so any type of support you want to lend to us is greatly appreciated here. Thank you, Danielle. By the way, can any of y'all, I need to ask you this, are y'all able to see, I can't see it from Stream, y'all, but I can read it right when I'm on the CBS website, and I posted the link, the actual indictment. So basically, the fact he kept asking the state and federal courts, essentially, this is what I'm looking at. He knew something was false and kept asking them to search and find it, is, from what I'm seeing, the basis of this conspiracy that he charged. And let me just say this, conspiracy can be one of the easiest things you can hit somebody with from a criminal perspective if you're trying to get them. I think from what I'm looking at in the polls and from what everybody is saying is you all think they say a lie long enough to sway the masses. Well, they do that all the time, Emperor. That's done all the time. The question is, can the states prove that there was a criminal conspiracy? Can the federal courts prove that? And I look at what Trump is facing up in New York. I look at what he's facing in Florida with Mar-a-Lago, with the documents, with all of this stuff going on. I'm telling y'all, and I think most people are smart to see this. This is an attempt to keep him out of the 2024 election. Now, if you read read right here, this is courtesy of Politico. We're going right there. Biden and Trump, as I stated earlier, are headed in a dead heat. 88% of registered Republicans are selecting Trump versus 83% of Democrats choosing Biden. So, when asked who they would vote for between Biden as the Democratic nominee and Trump as the GOP's, both saw 43% support among the surveyed registered voters. So Trump had a slight edge over Biden with 88% of the registered Republicans to the 83% of Democrats choosing Biden. The independents chose Biden with 42% and Trump at 37%. The thing, though, is, and I believe this is happening now also, that factors in is who is going to be the vice presidential candidate for Donald Trump. We know it won't be Mike Pence, thank God. And certainly, I don't think anybody wants Kamala Harris. Is another problem with the Democrats. If something were to happen to President Biden where he is unable to complete his duties as commander-in-chief, who actually wants Kamala Harris as the vice president and the next in line? her approval rating. I mean, look, the Hill says they say she's far from the worst vice president in history. Now, obviously, you're talking about Andrew Johnson, who was president after Abraham Lincoln. He was, to me, the worst vice president because he was just a racist piece of shit. And the only thing good he did, I mean, it was buy Alaska for the United States. He started those proceedings. But other than that, he reversed all of the things that Lincoln did, including the 40 acres and a mule, which was issued by General Sherman after Civil War, excuse me, I'm about to say World War. And thank you, Cheryl Massey, for your donation. Appreciate it. But they say here she's far from the worst. The Hill put this out. She has the polls say otherwise. People don't like her just because she just comes off as arrogant. Just the things we've said. Remember, her staff was just walking out on her. And you would think, now I know the Hill. The Hill is one of the most conservative news sites here. They're actually taking up for Kamala. They say finally Kamala. I'm not reading all this, but this is one of the factors. Now, I think another factor is with Kamala Harris that a lot of people don't like her flat out is that she has a history of lying. This is a woman who, when she was running for president and she didn't get the nom, they gave her a freebie, a token, to become the vice president of the United States so they could shore up black female voters. And this woman has been caught in lies multiple times, from smoking weed, listening to Snoop Dogg in college, Snoop and Tupac, what she did as an attorney general out in California, also just the stuff that she's done. Her laugh is just annoying, that hyena laugh. And then remember when she ran for president, I think the big thing everybody saw in this exposing was she was up there criticizing Joe Biden for his racist policies on forced school busing, how he supported that. And everyone saw. And now when he offered her the vice president, she was all gung-ho and taking up for him. So everybody sees what politics is for. Everybody sees what it's about. They know they can't keep their promises. That's why people are not voting in young black people, especially young black people, especially young black men. They're not turning out and voting in groves like I'm talking about, because they know they're going to get the short end anyway, whoever you put in. Now, I always say and tell people, especially our young brothers, to register to vote. If for any reason, number one, to get on a jury, don't run. Don't run if you get a jury duty notice. Serve so you can learn the law. Serve. That's why I want young black men to be registered to vote. Participate in your local politics if you can. Be engaged. Be concerned about your community. That's why you register to vote. That is not the only salvation to Black America, however, and I think the older people, especially the ones who are going to go vote for blue no matter who, are going to support this stuff, are going to support Biden. That's what it's going to come down to. I honestly think, though, come next year, Biden may not be able to serve as president if there's some health issues going on. I don't see him lasting another 4 years. That's just my opinion. And I think they want to make it where they want a female to become president, but that is not even I don't think that's popular. That's just me. Right now, people are not sold on Kamala Harris. 2024 will tell, but remember, Biden supposedly got 80 million votes. I don't know if that's going to happen again, but that's my opinion, ladies and gentlemen. And you're free to agree to disagree. So I wasn't going to do this long live stream. I got some other stuff I got to wrap up. But y'all tell me I got at least 12 votes. All of you think that this is nothing burger against Trump, that this is actually politically motivated. I'm not surprised. I see some people in the comments. I'm going to read a few of them. Emperor says she flips as needed. Yeah. Cheryl the Pearl asks, isn't Joe Biden aged out? Well, the irony of that, Cheryl, is that the mandatory requirement to retire if you work a federal job, I believe, is 70. I think it's been raised up. Forced retirement, the forced retirement age, although it was amended, but there was a retirement age, a federal retirement in the United States. Now, there's age discrimination laws that prohibit against it, but certain professions, you got to be, if it's 65, if you're a pilot, that's a mandatory, you're mandatorily bound to retire. But federal law enforcement enforcers, national park rangers, and firefighters, their mandatory age is 57, or later if it's less than 20 years of service. The point I bring up with all of that is we have a president who is over the age of 80, but yet you're forced to retire under federal. If you're a federal law enforcement officer, if you're a national park ranger, and a firefighter, there's a cutoff. Every state's different. But damn. That's Kamala. Yeah, she's so fake. She doesn't even answer a question. She flips. I'll just play this.
And present culture is the way we express how we're feeling about the moment. And we should always find times to express how we feel about the moment that is a reflection of joy, because it comes in the morning.
Hang on.
It's been disgraceful.
But of course, she's black and she's a woman. So they grab. Hang on, Prue. I've got the grab. Have a look at the grab.
Is a reflection of our moment and our time, right? And present culture is the way we express how we're feeling about the moment. And we should always find times to express how we feel about the moment that is a reflection of joy, because it comes in the morning.
You are a PR professional. What does that even mean?
Well, I think, I have no idea, but I think she's spending too many moments with Biden, and she is now speaking his language. They're both as mad as each other, and she ticked all the boxes. She was black, she was a woman, and that's why she was chosen to run with him. There were many better candidates, and she's proving to be a total disaster with her moronic moments, which are too often.
But we laugh at all these things, and it's actually now to the point. It's not funny. It's incredibly sad that a once great nation has got these two Fruit Loops at the helm.
Yeah.
Well, ladies, thank you for joining me tonight for this moment in time.
That's why I did Australia. They tend to be real conservative, but they're right on that part about Kamala. I'm gonna do this before something I haven't done in a while. We're gonna take a call. I'm gonna take at least one call. 504-656-6760, ladies and gentlemen. We want to take a call. All right, people ain't interested in calling. All right. Well, I'm gonna wrap it up then. If nobody's calling, y'all hit that like, share, and subscribe button, ladies and gentlemen. There will be no show Thursday. I'm going out to do a comedy show. But you all be safe and be blessed, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back next week to talk about all this stuff going on, ladies and gentlemen. So hit that like, share, and subscribe button in the meantime. Also, check out The Commonwealth of Pennsylvania versus William H. Cosby on Amazon Kindle. And please, 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 if you pretty my knees, donate to the Cash App, PayPal, or Zelle if you like. Man, by the way, before I get out of here, had y'all seen, and subscribe also to my Rumble page. I'm going to do a video this week I'm about to drop. By the way, how many of y'all have noticed that Twitter is now called X? They actually are removing the Twitter sign. And apparently now I'm seeing, Elon Musk is calling it X now. And apparently there are people complaining about the X sign. Some people say they removed it after neighbors complained. But this is where in San Francisco, these are the headquarters of Twitter. So this Twitter is now called X. So have y'all seen that? That's funny. I saw Lizzo is being sued too for eating 2 penguins at the zoo. No, Lizzo's being sued by workers, by her 3 former background dancers for fat shaming them and some weird stuff going on with her. Not surprising. I don't know what's going on with that. Separate video on that. Yeah. They sued her for sexual harassment. I saw one person she forced allegedly. So yeah, Lizzo's being sued by 3 different dancers. It says Lizzo let a chair pressure in one of the dancers to touch the breasts of one of the new women performing at the club. One thing I'm saying quickly, who served as a judge on the singer's reality show, is accusing Lizzo's Watch Out for the Big Girls is accusing lawsuit of pushing her Christian beliefs onto dances. The court filing claims Quigley referred to Davis as a non-believer and told co-workers that no job and no one will stop me from talking about the Lord. Somebody said that she, ugh. The lizard has been snipped. I don't know, man. We're gonna find. I'm gonna do a separate video on that. But Lizzo accused of weight shaming. That's the big black pot calling the kettle black, boy. Woo! Damn. All of them filed lawsuit. I don't know what happened, y'all. Apparently, Lizzo's people got me kicked off YouTube. They messed up with the channel. They heard I was supposedly fat shaming. So they sat on a power line and knocked out everything. All right, but we got a special call, ladies and gentlemen. Miss Cheryl Massey, who's present. Let me know if y'all can hear her. Cheryl, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Yeah.
All right, good evening, Cheryl.
Y'all make it brief. I just want to say good evening, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well.
Good evening.
And I don't think they're going to, excuse me?
No, say good evening.
Okay, so I was just going to say I don't think they're going to run Kamala Harris for president because, she can't handle it. She's basically a joke, and I don't think they're going to put her out there to run for president.
So
she doesn't have what it takes.
So do you think for next year you see her running again with Trump on the ticket? I mean, with Biden on the ticket, or you think they're going to try and pick someone else?
I think they're going to pick somebody else. I don't think she's going to, she's not going to be able to hold up.
Yeah.
She hasn't done anything as vice president, so I don't think she could, going to do well as presidential candidate.
No, she hasn't been impressive at all as a vice president, and I think it stems from her behavior. A lot of people are not just impressed with her just because, she lies all the time.
Yeah, I don't know.
She lies and she lies and she she seems to be incompetent. I've heard she actually misses her briefings that they have. You had a number of staff members that quit. And look, no, I'm not there personally with Kamala Harris. I don't know what's going on in the White House, and that's the thing. She doesn't know either, it looks like, from time to time. So,
right. Yeah. And I don't think she'll make the presidential candidate. I don't think she's going to get that far.
No.
So, yeah, she's a mess. I'm sorry to say. She does nothing. She's just no presence at all. I don't know what her job is. I don't know what she's supposed to be doing. But I haven't seen her do anything worth talking about. Nothing.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all I wanted to say. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Cheryl. Thank you for your donation, okay?
You're welcome.
I appreciate the support. Thank you. That was the great Cheryl Massey, ladies and gentlemen. So she tunes in every night. She supports this channel. I'm grateful I have people like her and people like you who listen. So we're wrapping this thing up, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a great live stream. Hit that like, share, and subscribe button, and I will see y'all in the next one. Peace.